Let's talk about Old World versus New World.
Okay, so first, old world. What is an old world? So old world simply means that it originates from somewhere on the east hemisphere, such as Asia, Africa. Typically, old worlds are more defensive. They have more potent venom. Old worlds will typically be faster and more skittish compared to new worlds. Obviously, this is different for every individual tarantula. I have some new worlds that are more defensive and a bit more skittish, but the general consensus is that old worlds have more potent venom. They do not have urticating hairs, and they just tend to be a little bit more defensive, which is why they're not recommended as a beginner species. So the word New World simply relates to the Western Hemisphere, America, Central America, South America, Mexico, etc. So the list is endless. You can do your own research and find out exactly where your particular New World tarantula comes from, but the bare bones of it is that New World tarantulas tend to have as their main defense urticating hairs, which is hairs on the back of their abdomen, sometimes their legs, that they will kick off into the air, and they have like little barbs. I will insert a picture, and these are irritable. They will itch, and if you get them into your airways, they can be particularly nasty. They can obviously bite, however their venom is a lot less potent, so it's less medically significant. Chances are is it's just going to be a sting, it's going to swell a little. Obviously, again, this is genus dependent. So for example, Summerpaeus are a New World species, but they do not have urticating hairs, and they are more defensive. So again, New Worlds are slightly less defensive, less skittish, which is why they are a recommended beginner tarantula to get. So most people would vote for New World versus Old World when it comes to choosing your first tarantula. Okay, so let's talk about Old World versus New World behaviour. Here you can see my Harpacteria pulchrites. This is a baboon species, so this is an Old World. And as you can see here, all I'm doing is misting the enclosure, and it is in threat pose. This is pretty typical for an Old World tarantula. They are more defensive, they do not like to be disturbed, and they are best left alone. When you see your tarantula in a threat pose, do not attempt to try and touch the tarantula, handle the tarantula. It's best not to handle any tarantulas anyway, but Old Worlds possess more potent venom. A bite would not be very pleasant, and so it's always recommended to leave well alone. So here we now see a New World, and how a New World is reacting to me watering their enclosure. As you can see, there is no threat pose. The tarantula, which is a Nandochromatus, is definitely interested in what I'm doing, but she is not striking. She's just checking out the movement from the water, the vibrations on the ground that I am stimulating by filling up her water dish. But as you can see, she is not striking, she is not aggressive, she is not defensive, she's just curious as to know what's going on. So that is a very clear difference between a New World and an Old World, the defensive behaviour. So another example which just shows that each tarantula is different, I'm showing you here a New World tarantula. This is a Chromatopelma cyana pubescens, and this is a New World tarantula. And as you can see, it is not happy with me whatsoever. I'm trying to feed her, and she is in threat pose. Now, this is not uncommon. It is all dependent on the particular tarantula. You can have some Old Worlds that are not too defensive, and you can have some New Worlds that are a little bit more defensive. Typically, this girl is not very defensive. I'm not really sure what she was doing this time, and in a minute you will see that she is being dramatic. She does go ahead and actually eat for me. So just be advised that just because you have an Old World or a New World does not mean that they will behave as they should do. Okay, so now we're going to talk about venom and its effects, Old World versus New World. So here we have an Old World. You can see some beautiful fang action here. This is my C. lividus or C. lividum, and it is my emerald green or green femur. I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but let's just talk about Old World venom. So an Old World venom, a bite would be fairly unpleasant compared to a New World. A New World bite isn't going to be pleasant either, but in regards to Old World versus New World, Old world, you are probably going to experience different symptoms. Now, this is dependent on each individual person that's bitten, how much venom is injected into your system, and what particular old world you are dealing with. Some old worlds are worse than others, but a general understanding is that with an old world, you can expect a variety of symptoms based on the particular tarantula. Anything from pain, swelling, cramps, burning, convulsions, heart palpitations, nausea, sickness, and just a whole lot more. Some can go on for a few hours, some can go on for a few days, and some symptoms can go on for a few months. In extreme cases, and I want to just clarify this, in extreme cases, there could be more dangerous consequences such as death, but this is highly unlikely. It does not happen very often, and I think a lot of the time people think that maybe you would have to be allergic to the venom and have some kind of allergic reaction for it to cause such extreme issues such as a fatality or extreme hospital care. Okay, so here we have my Lasiodora parhabana. This is a New World tarantula. So let's go ahead and talk about the New World venom. The New World venom is probably more likely going to cause a stinging sensation and mild swelling in a particular area rather than directed throughout the body. This is obviously, again, dependent on individual tarantulas. Samopaeus is a New World tarantula, and they don't possess urticating hairs, but they do have a slightly more potent venom compared to most New Worlds. So I would always advise that if you are bitten by a New World or an Old World, try to ride it out at home unless you feel like you are in some kind of danger. It's not going to be pleasant being bitten by New World or Old World, but the main concern for New World is probably more mechanical damage than internal damage. So you may need stitching if you are bitten by a large specimen such as a Theraphosa sturmi. But again, do base what you do and your medical care on your particular circumstances. Okay, so let's talk about hairs, in particular urticating hairs. So here you can see my Brachypalma amelia male, and when they kick hairs, you get this bold patch on the abdomen, which you'll see in a minute. You will also see what happens when they kick hairs. So you will see this now. See that he uses his back foot or back leg to rub that bold patch and to rub the back of his abdomen. This kicks the hairs into the air, which will cause irritation. You know that your tarantula has been kicking hairs because there will be a bold patch on the back of their abdomen. Here we have a Samopaeus cambridgei, and this is a New World, but it does not possess urticating hairs and it will not kick hairs at you. Whereas most New Worlds do have urticating hairs. This one in particular does not. However, most Old Worlds, I believe all Old Worlds, do not have urticating hairs. I'm not sure of any that do possess them, but if you do know of any that possess urticating hairs the same way that Samopaeus do not possess them, do go ahead and let me know. So thanks so much you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this brief video about Old World versus New World. I hope you've learned something new today. Do go ahead and comment, subscribe, give your input, leave any comments in the section about what else you could distinguish between Old World and New World. I love to hear from you guys. Hit that notification bell so that you remember to see my uploads when I do upload, which is not as frequently as I used to, but I am trying my hardest to get the content out. In the meantime, here is a short clip of one of my beautiful centipedes looking kind of creepy and crawling around. Until next time, guys.